Hopefully.
So far, so good.
See if I actually stick around this time. Zoom hates me. I swear I have the worst luck with it. Like I would be trying to teach back when school was still in session, and it'd be like.
All right, I think we're good again. Here we go one more time, ladies and gentlemen. The internet in all its glory. So once again, welcome to another edition of Box Lunch here at the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. We have the one and only Zoe Settle with us today. How are you doing today, Zoe?
I am great.
Awesome. Well, we are so glad to have you with us, joining us for another edition of Boxed Lunch. It seems the internet is wearing down very slowly with all of the great things going on with our wonderful COVID pandemic. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this one and share with everybody out there how things are going. So Zoe, before we get started, do you mind just taking a second and introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that always feels like such a big question. I am an actress and a teaching artist. I feel like that's the easiest way to put it. And I'm over in Dallas. And then also I'm working on my master's in arts leadership through Colorado State University. And most recently this summer, thankfully, I got to keep busy by being an intern with Texans for the Arts. So kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. It's pretty fun.
Very nice. Now, again, I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. You also have a couple of YouTube series out there as well. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So while school is still in session and I'm going to set it back up again, probably next week or so, I was doing craft time with Miss Zoe. So I was doing little mini art lessons, which I could send to my students since we couldn't be there in person. And then also every weekend, I have a little series called Get Settled. And I just sing a new song every week. And sometimes I collaborate with long distance family members and do different themes and stuff. So just keeping on singing, keep creating. It's been a lot of fun, kind of challenging, but really interesting trying to tackle art in the time of, I don't know, I guess being fully virtual all the time.
Now, I was stalking your Facebook page. You also appear to be very good friends with Elsa. Is that correct? From Frozen?
I actually have a few princess friends, but Elsa definitely, she and I, we're like this. So I get her to come and do story times, and I've also gotten her to call some princesses around the area and do like FaceTime chats and personal story times. So I'm super lucky that I have her as such a close friend. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a little hot for her lately, but she definitely will be making some more appearances coming up.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe she could just come out and lower the temperature by about, I don't know, 10 to 15 degrees. I'd be perfectly okay with that. Hell, I'd take 1 or 2 degrees off of the triple digits that we've had lately. So yeah, put in a call to her, see what you can do about the Texas area in general. So all right, Zoe, before we get started asking you the hard-hitting questions, what is on your lunch menu today?
I'm going to be making a nice avocado toast salad, and I am plant-based, so I'm going to put a little plant-based chicken on top, give it a little extra protein. So very exciting. I know not every person, but I think if you don't like salad, you're just not doing it right. So my hot there.
Well, hopefully we'll learn a tip or two from you in the creation of your wonderful avocado salad there. I myself, I go back and forth between plant-based and meat-based. More importantly, I tend to lean more towards the meat side. So I've learned that it's my understanding it's like green hatch chili season. And so I've been using some of those wonderful ingredients in my last couple of lunches. I wandered out with my mask on to Central Market this weekend, and I picked up some fabulous green hatch chili pork sausages. So I'm going to be making one of those, throwing that on a bun with some Swiss cheese and some Grey Poupon, which is the end all and be all in terms of mustard. So that's where I'm going to head. And while we get started with our lunches, I was wondering if you wouldn't mind talking just a little bit about how you artistically and personally have been affected by this crazy pandemic that we have.
Oh man, that's such a huge question. I mean, obviously everyone kind of got like a massive reset, and within a few days, like I was on spring break basically when everything kind of shut down. It was Thursday, I think, the 13th, and things were getting canceled. And then within, I think, 3 or 4 days, my entire schedule for the next, I think, 2, 3 months totally wiped out. Like, I obviously had a full teaching schedule. I was going to be in a touring school show. I had princess parties and birthday parties lined up. I was going to sing in a competition. I was going to be a super for the Fort Worth Opera. Like, I had all kinds of different and really cool things lined up, and then just all gone. And I feel like a lot of people, kind of had that moment of like pout and like self-pity, and then was like, how can I, keep doing stuff, keeping productive and artistic. And so like I started my YouTube craft series, which was really great to like have that creative outlet. And then I still have voice lessons every week with my voice teacher, and she was the one who actually gave me the idea for Get Settled. So that's what we do every week. I have lessons on Fridays, and we practice my little show for the next day. And I've also started taking virtual dance classes, which
Oh, wow.
I never thought that was going to be something, but it's called Pastor, and it's like all Broadway dancers teaching dance classes via Zoom. I don't know if anyone out there is interested, but like it's incredible. I'm literally talking to people who were just frozen on Broadway, like, and I get to dance with them every week. So I actually, as all things considered, I feel like I'm doing okay, which I'm really thankful to be able to say that. So it could be worse, but I feel like I've still had my artistic fulfillment in these months off, which is pretty great to be able to say that.
Nice. Now, it sounds like you may have kind of touched on this next question. Have you found that the pandemic, and I'm assuming this is all perception, that it has opened doors for you along with closed a few? But overall, do you see some advantages and opportunities that you may not have had we not shut things down?
Honestly, yeah, like I think that's one nice thing is that seeing that the arts are really resilient. And I don't think anyone ever doubted that, but it is nice to just see so many things popped up, and it's like this door closed. So then creative people were like, how can we open 3 more different doors? And I mean, like one thing that's really exciting is I've gotten to audition for things that I never would have been able to. I can send in a video, I can do a virtual audition. Like that's been like a really great blessing. And like again, getting to dance with like actual Broadway dancers, like that's something crazy I never would have that would be possible staying here in Dallas, Texas, and learning from people in New York. And I think that aspect of things definitely has been really nice. And also getting to intern, Texans for the Arts is based in Austin. And so they were all in Austin, but my fellow interns, we were all across the country getting to work together on things. So I think there were at least some silver linings to a really like not great situation. So that's good at least.
Yes, absolutely. Now
We'll
talked a little bit. We talked a little bit before we went live. Now you are also pursuing your master's degree in I say in Colorado at Colorado State University. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how has the pandemic affected that?
So luckily, I was already doing my classes online, so I didn't have to do any kind of like crazy switcheroo. The one downfall was that the big focus of my spring semester, when everything started shutting down, was event planning and event management. And so our big semester project was planning an arts event. And it was right up, I think we were maybe 2 or 3 weeks out from actually hosting the event and like starting all of that stuff. And we basically, it all had to get canceled. So that was kind of a bummer because I feel like event planning is like a huge part of the arts. You know, even if you're just planning like a gallery event or planning a show, there's still so many things to consider getting together. And it was kind of a bummer that I had like pitched all this and like made up my marketing and everything. And then it was like, well, it's not safe to host events. So I kind of got that canceled. But I mean, still got some good stuff out of it, but that was definitely a bummer. I was going to have a big birthday party for Shakespeare, if anyone was curious. It was supposed to be like on his birthday. I think it was a Thursday. So kind of a little bummed didn't get to party with the bards, but maybe I can just reuse that next year if it's safe. Host a big birthday party next April. We'll see.
Nice. So I have another question. So were you a user of Zoom prior to the pandemic? I felt like an idiot. Once I found Zoom, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So did you have any experience with that before? Or what platforms were you using for school?
We have it through Canvas, and we would do, I think they're like Google Hangout or Google Classroom, something like that. But yeah, Zoom, it was so funny, you know, like all my kids, I feel like they pick up technology so quick because they've like grown up with it their entire lives. And so I'm over here like, which button? I'm like, what am I? And they're like, I'm Miss Zoe, it's this. I'm like, thank you, so sorry. So definitely really funny to have a learning curve. And, you know, sometimes Zoom would spaz out and like make one of the students the host of the meeting, which you don't want because then everyone gets a crazy background or some kind of stuff like that. But it's kept us on our toes. But again, like it's been nice to be able to have access to people that are literally like thousands of miles away from me. Like with TFA, one nice thing is we could have our board meetings on Zoom, which everyone's all across Texas. We're in Texas. We know how big this state is. The idea of trying to get people in Lubbock and El Paso and Austin and San Antonio and Dallas, Fort Worth, like all somewhere together is like impossible. But it was nice that Zoom gave us that option to actually like see everyone. So even though it can be a little finicky, definitely I would have to say a fan. And I guess if you had stock in Zoom, it probably worked out pretty well for you, right?
Yes, I think they're doing pretty good over the last few months. So now I find this so interesting. So you're taking virtual classes, but you also have a sister that just went up to your alma mater, I believe, at Oklahoma City University. Is that correct?
OCU, go Stars. Yeah, so she's starting her senior year, which I guess is kind of like tricky. If she had not been a senior, then she was kind of on the fence of if she wanted to go back or not, because you know it is still kind of risky. People are coming. We have there's a lot of international students also that come through OCU for especially like the business program.
Right.
So I'm people from all over, and it was kind of a little scary, but it's her last year, so she has to finish up the degree. But it's crazy. They're doing lots of Zoom classes. They're still going to try to do shows, but they changed their theater season, so that everyone can stay pretty far apart. And I think they're just performing it via Zoom, so it'll be live, but no one actually in the audience in the seats. So she's a lighting designer, so she still will get to. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how the designers work. Like, are they going to look through Zoom to see if it's like looking how they, you know, because I mean, it could totally translate differently. So it's nice that they still get the opportunity to do productions, but I'll be really curious to see how the experiment works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that she's still moving forward, and it sounds like they're trying to balance a lot of stuff out with not only getting back to the classroom, but also trying to figure out how to continue to benefit from the virtual opportunities with education as well. So that's very exciting. So I'm glad that things are moving forward, even if we may not necessarily all agree with the way that's happening, it's good that those opportunities are still out there in both formats as well. So, all right, it looks like you've done all kinds of wonderful things already on that salad. Can you tell me what all you've got going on there and some of the ingredients that went in?
Yes, I'm just putting on my dressing because I mean, like, obviously I'm about to just mix it all up, but I like it to look kind of pretty. Big on like Instagram my food, but it's just like a little lettuce blend. They have like little toast. Oh, I'll show you. They're like little toast instead of croutons, which is so cute. And there's it's like mashed avocado, tortilla strips. You got some almonds and some little like crispy onions, and then the little popcorn chicken. The thing is about salads is you got to put some toppings on it. If you're just eating lettuce, then it's probably not going to be that exciting because lettuce is not that exciting. So like, especially if you're doing like a drive-through fast food salad, like you're never going to like that because also usually it's wilted. If you make your own salad and you get all the toppings, like some of these toppings I literally just get at the dollar store. That's my pitch. You just got to put enough toppings on it and then it's delicious and amazing and healthy.
Nice. Have you tried salad shakers? I think is what they're called. And it's basically like this seasoning blend, and it's got all of this stuff in there as well, along with some like little nuts and crouton pieces.
Ooh.
But I'm pretty sure it's called salad shakers, and they've got some different flavors of that, and can't recommend it enough. It's a nice way to get a lot of wonderful crunch and spice with just a few little shakes. So check those out. Little tip to you on the salad front. I learned that on my vegetarian days, so which is like one a month, I think.
Better than none. Better than none.
You're absolutely right. I was given a wonderful vegetarian cookbook to try to start eating healthier, and I'm amazed at the amount of ingredients that it takes to make a vegetarian dish. Seems like sometimes it's more than the regular meat dishes.
That is, look, that's true. I make a lot of vegan queso because I love queso, but I cannot eat peas. And sometimes I'm like, why does it take 30 things? But once I get it, it's always worth it rather than just like, let me melt some cheese, in my opinion. But I also understand like not everyone has the commitment to make sure that you put in the exact right amounts of each of the 20 spices or whatever.
Yeah, I was really amazed at the all the work that goes into some vegan menus. So, so Zoe, I'm curious. Do you mind talking a little bit about what you've learned about yourself, or just you as an artist in general during this pandemic?
I feel like the biggest thing is just I don't know, like I've almost found this sense of calm, which is kind of bizarre because this is such a hectic and stressful time. But I used to be, I mean, I still am really hard on myself, but it's gotten easier to like put my creativity and put my work out into the world and kind of eliminate that fear of judgment coming from other people. So I feel like that's been kind of nice. And even the small things, like I used to never like go out or I guess like show myself without wearing tons of makeup on. And that was something that was always like an anxiety thing. And now here I'm like, I have moisturizer on and I'm like, this is what it is. I don't know. It's just nice that like some of that like self expectation I've been able to really let go of, because maybe it's just there's so much other things to like worry about right now. But it's just been a nice time to like reset, focus on like self-care. And it's like, if I'm doing my best, that's all that I have to offer. So if I offer that and it's still not good for someone, that's not on me, because I've given the best that I can, and maybe it's just not what they're looking for.
Wow, that's some great insight there. And I find it so interesting that you really have seemed to be quite productive with your output as well. You've got quite a few videos out there on your Settled In. And have you found that you've found yourself leaning more towards focusing on something that you may not have been as comfortable with, say dance or acting? Or did you just jump both feet in and just see where it went?
Well, I think probably more of the jumping in and seeing where it went, if I'm being honest, because I've always loved singing, loved musical theater, but never was like super confident. And like a lot of that's coming from like my current voice teacher. I take from Amy Canchola. She's amazing and doing like virtual lessons if anyone out there is looking. But she's just helped me a lot with like kind of like I was talking about, like releasing the expectations and just like letting it be what it is. And I think that's helped me a lot in realizing like if I never sing, then I'm never going to be a singer. And then with the dancing, I'm like, if I never dance, then I'm never going to be a dancer. So coming from that place of like, you have to at least go for it and start trying, because if you don't even give yourself the space to try, then you can't ever, get to that next point of like success and succeeding and all of that. I feel like that's probably not like a novel idea, but sometimes you have to come to it on your own time and then be like, oh, this is what everyone was always saying.
Yes, absolutely. So now, along with all of this great art stuff that you're doing and honing your craft and your talent, I saw also that you're a big fan of advocacy as well. Are there any groups that have really caught your attention recently, outside of all of the obvious things that are going on? What's really become your focus during this time?
I feel like it's gotten easier to listen. Like I wouldn't say that there's like one group in particular that I'm like really like tuned in on, but just being aware of all of the causes out there that I can support. And I think the biggest thing is making sure that people's voices are being heard. And I know that not everybody has the same experience in life that I have. Not everyone has the same situations and the same benefits that I've been able to grow up with. So I feel like just listening is the easiest thing, to hear where people are coming from and hear how we can improve and make things better. I feel like having so much else in my life on pause has made it so much easier to hear what everyone else is saying and hear how this pandemic is affecting other people way worse than it's affected me. And some people are unaffected, which I guess that's also great. But I think there's a lot more that we can do just to hear people out. And if I can do anything to amplify anyone's voice, anyone's experience, to help be a part of that change, that's definitely what I'm trying to do.
Nice. Well, it's great to hear that. I'm curious, do any of the movements or the advocacy groups that you follow and keep up with, do you find that falling into your art as well? Just as an example, on your YouTube channel with your song selections, do you find yourself looking for material that might have some sort of parallel to the advocacy groups that you are keeping up on?
For sure. Well, especially when at the height of all of the Black Lives Matter protests, that was something I didn't want to be singing some like, I don't know, ditzy little song and put that out while people are really having like a serious struggle and like having a serious fight to be heard. But I also knew it wasn't necessarily my place to go and try to make it about me. So those few weeks when things were really bad, I was trying to find songs that were hopeful and like uplifting. And like one of the songs I sang, Someday, from Hunchback, which talks about, finding that day of justice and finding that hopeful future where everyone can be on more equal footing. And obviously that's like a really, I don't know, Disney way of looking at things, because there's a lot that has to change for that to happen. But I feel like even in small ways, the art and the work that you're putting out into the world can influence that change. So definitely, I try to be very mindful. I'm not gonna make it all about me, but I want to make sure if I'm doing something, it at least is helpful and not hurting, for sure.
Very nice. There's some great insight there. And so on that same line, where do you see the arts moving and adapting through all of this? How do you see that playing out over the course of the next few months, and I'll say even next couple of years with what's going on?
Well, I think it was looking really dire there. And I think funding is definitely going to have an impact on what happens next, especially for a lot of smaller organizations. But I'm already seeing things reopen and adaption happening. And I think the nice thing is, well, I guess not the nice thing, but the arts have always been underfunded. So, but they've continued. And I think in that realm, even though maybe the funding is not what we'd all like it to be, I think that they're going to find ways to make things work. And with TFA, we've gotten to do these regional conversations. So I'm like getting to hear from arts organizations of all sizes, like all over the state, and how they're, finding little pockets of money in their city budgets and petitioning to get that for their arts organizations. Like, I think we're doing good work, and I think we're not letting up on the pressure to make sure that the arts are still going to have a home. And a big focus we've had is looking at what art people are creating right now. It hasn't stopped just because, our gigs were canceled, our shows were canceled, all of that stuff. Like, people are still creating, and they're creating in response to what's happening right now. And I think that that's still going to be a story that everyone's going to want to see and want to buy into. So even if it doesn't look anything like what we've seen before, virtual exhibitions are happening, virtual shows, theaters are announcing virtual seasons. I think we're gonna find a way through it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because creative people are the most innovative people I know. And I know people all across the board, all different artistic styles, and seeing some of the work that they're doing has been really inspiring. So obviously it's not the ideal, but I'm gonna firmly say I am hopeful and optimistic about where we're going.
Well, I think that's a great attitude to have. And I honestly, I wish more people had it. So I'm curious, do you think that the virtual component that we're seeing in the arts right now, do you think that's going to stay with us even past all of this? And what do you see as some of the advantages and disadvantages of this virtual platform coming into the theatrical and musical industry in terms of in-person performance?
See, okay, I think that's really tricky, because this has actually been, I feel like, a debate that's been had prior to any of this happening. Is like the idea of recording Broadway performances and actually making them accessible to people who cannot go to Broadway and see a Broadway show. Obviously, we know like those ticket prices aren't in a lot of people's budgets. But it's interesting to actually see that gain more mainstream attention as part of this like fold in with, the cancellations and not being able to be in person. I'm biased because I do a lot of theater, and I think it would be really weird to just never have an audience. And that's part of the reason why I really chose to focus on theater and not film is because I love live theater. I love having the audience and having to think on your feet and like that energy and all of that. And I feel like if I don't know, if we don't ever have audiences again, that would be heartbreaking. But yeah. I think there's a lot of merit. Like, I mean, Hamilton, obviously, so many people watched Hamilton when it dropped, and that was like one of the biggest shows we've had in a few years, and now everyone has access to it. I feel like, I think having both, I think virtual options, or even just knowing like we'll record this and someone can buy and watch it, I think that would be a great next step for the theater world. But I am hopeful that sooner than later we can have some live audiences again. Definitely.
Yeah, there's just nothing that compares to sharing that personal energy, not only with the cast of a show, but also with the audience of one as well. So it's certainly something that separates the theater and live music industry apart from film. And I know that there's some great theatrical experiences that are being seen by people who probably never even knew they were out there, let alone saw them in person. So I'm curious. You say Hamilton? Did you watch it online?
Well, yeah, I actually did. Here's my little like flex of the day. We actually saw Hamilton the week that it opened on Broadway. So I saw the original cast and everything. I saw it before it blew up and got on everyone's nerves. So I was really curious to see how it would be just watching it filmed on my television in my living room. And I think a lot of the magic was still there. You know, a lot of what made it so spectacular was still there, but I couldn't put my finger on it. There was just something, having seen it in person and seeing it on my screen, like it just wasn't the same. Like seeing it in person, sitting there in that dark theater with everyone, I mean, I don't think you can replace it. I don't think there's anything that is quite like seeing a show with hundreds of other people all like watching the same thing with you. But I'm glad that so many people finally got to see it. I will say that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was kind of hoping that maybe you had seen both versions because there's some really great stuff out there with the National Theater Live, and a lot of that stuff was accessible prior to all of this. But I don't think people really quite caught on to the opportunity to be able to see some of these shows that were not necessarily touring or as accessible as they might have been. I agree. I've
Yeah.
seen a couple of the national live shows, and it really is, it just makes me want to go in person all the more. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I saw the Benedict Cumberbatch Frankenstein, and I loved the presentation that they did, but it just made me so sad that I could not see that chandelier in person. And so while I bought into the story and loved the opportunity to see it, I was so frustrated that I wouldn't be able to actually really truly understand how glorious that lighting design was in that show, and just all the work that goes into some of those live presentations. So
The one thing I will say on this note, when I was younger and first getting into musical theater, was when Phantom and Les Mis both had like their 25th anniversary concerts. And I don't know, I think they just filmed them and then showed them here in movie theaters. But I was able to go to the movie theater and watch all these people that I looked up to like on my big screen. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm there. And that led to me just wanting to do more theater and see more theater. So I think in that aspect, like I never would have gotten to see this show at Royal Albert Hall if they hadn't filmed it and showed it on my movie theater here in Dallas, you know? So from that aspect, I think getting more people to want to see more theater and do more theater, it's fantastic. But I totally agree. I mean, getting to watch the recorded productions at the Globe is not the same thing as actually getting to sit there in the seats and watch it live on stage. But if I can't have it in person, then I would rather have it virtual than not at all. So
yeah, absolutely. Now you say you've been interested in the arts for a long time. Now, it's my understanding that your father is also a playwright as well. How much of an effect did he have on your decision making and pulling you towards the arts?
well, here's actually the funny thing that I remember sometimes. When I was little, him and my mom's cousin actually had like a film company. I guess it was a film company, but so they were going and auditioning tons of actors and like turning our house inside out to be different sets and things. We're always like making movies. And when I think back, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like what I grew up around. So I feel like it's always been in my life, you know. He was always writing and doing things like that. We were always around that kind of thing. And then I think I did my first show when I was in third grade, and here we are now. So definitely, I'm thankful because I know I have friends whose parents were a little skeptical of them pursuing an arts career, but I was in middle school when I told my parents, I was like, I want to do this. This is what I'm doing with my life. And they were like, okay, great. And they did all this research, like, where should she go to school? What should she do? What does she need? You know? So it was never really a question, I don't think, of if I would be an arts person. It was more like, what avenue would I take? And ended up that I took several avenues, which is going to be super surprising to anyone who knows me.
Nice. And just out of curiosity, where do you see yourself in 5 years down the road once you finish your master's degree? Is there a particular discipline that you're leaning towards, or would you like to be more of a jack of all trades in the arts industry?
You know, I feel like I could answer that either way. Like I could say, I want to have a full-time career in like X, but I think the truth is I will probably always be doing 7 different things because I just like it so much. And in my undergrad, my BFA is in acting, so it was very like straight acting. That was the avenue, and I butted heads with my professors a lot because they're like, you need to learn how to do an agent interview and learn how to do these like very specific things. I'm like, well, what if I want to do this? What if I also want to direct? What if I also want to do this? They're like, but you want to be an actor, so you also do these things. So I've just never been one to just follow a consistent path. And I feel like as long as I have creative outlets in my life, I'm going to be happy. And I at least know that I'll always be able to make some kind of income from the arts because I have so many so many different things that I am in.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it is a tribute to you to be crafty enough to understand that now and make sure that you're improving yourself in all disciplines in the arts, because that really is a key feature. And you even see it with some of the famous people who move from in front of the camera to behind it, and then also in production and producing as well. So, very smart move, and the more things you can offer, the more work is generally available in the arts. And I think we
True.
all know how hard it is to be able to support yourself there. So I think that's a pretty smart choice. And I have a feeling that's probably going to pay off for you pretty well. So good to hear that you're not eager to just be a famous actress.
Although I wouldn't complain. Like if it happens, right?
None of us would. All right, so Zoe, if you wouldn't mind, can you tell me a little bit, and I think you might have mentioned one of them already, what helpful community resources are you seeing or using yourself? And any advice for us out there and how we might be able to find some of these resources that you're seeing for yourself and other artists out there?
Well, I'm gonna plug Texans for the Arts again, and also this is because I built our current resource page. So there's a lot of information on reopening, on grants, and I try to update it at least once a week of just grants we're seeing out there, opportunities, things like that. Luckily, I have seen, and I mean, we're in North Texas, so there's tons of arts organizations, which is really great. But it seems like a lot of places, if they have any opportunity to offer even small micro grants to individual artists, I'm really seeing a lot of that. So my personal advice would be look at like your city's Office of Arts and Culture. I've seen a lot of those doing micro grants and things like that. There's also the, the artist release tree, I think. And it's like artist release grants that are doing, they have those every few, I think it's every month, maybe they have a new quarter. But also Google Alerts. Google Alerts are definitely your friend.
Nice. There's some great resources there. Sounds like some wonderful stuff, and a tribute to you to checking in and making sure that those things are being updated as well. So thank you for that. And we'll see if we can't get some links on the comment section and guide anybody that might need some access to those wonderful, wonderful community resources. So, all right, Zoe, how's your lunch coming there? Are you ready for presentations and prep?
Yes, yes. Let me show. Oh, I'm gonna put a little more dressing so it looks Instagram ready, and then also.
All right. Mine is always Instagram ready. I just don't know if everybody else agrees with me on that. So. All right, while you're mixing that up, I'm going to show you mine here. So here is that fabulous green chili pork sausage. And then I've got some Swiss cheese and my gray poupon on there. Everybody keeps making fun of me about my good china, but it is just so easy to wash that it's hard for me not to go that route.
All right, I have my nice avocado toast salad plated in my IKEA bowl, if anyone's curious. The highlight is my Follow Your Heart honey mustard.
Woo!
I love it, but I only can eat honey mustard dressing. I know that's so weird, but like I can't stand any other dressing except honey mustard. So if I'm eating a salad, it better go well with honey mustard.
So that and chicken nuggets, right? Very nice, very nice. Well, there's some wonderful color in there. It looks absolutely delicious. So Zoe, as a younger person, I've been struggling terribly with trying to stay focused and taking care of myself. Do you have any tips for us in terms of how to stay sane mentally and stay fit physically? Any good insight in how to take care of ourselves these days?
Okay, so before it was in the hundreds, I walked my dog a lot, which she was loving because the weather was nice. But I think even just getting a few minutes of like, sometimes, I mean, I'm not kidding, like I'll just go do some stretches in the middle of the day, you know, like around the afternoon time when it's getting like, focus, just some stretches to like warm up your body. Like it's so important, even just doing like, try to touch your toes, just do like a nice like little split or even just some back and forth just to like remind your body like, hey, we're awake, we're doing things, we're getting moving. But also I know self-care is kind of like a buzz term right now, but it's a real thing. Like I nailed my skincare routine during this shelter in place thing, which I'm sure like, yeah, it's like, it's funny, but it also like I feel better about myself because I'm like, I'm taking care of my skin. And then when I wake up in the morning, my face is clear and I'm like, this is great. It's like the like small things like that, making sure that you're still paying attention to yourself, even though there's always going to be 100 outside things that are wanting your attention. Like sometimes you have to be like, no, I need these 10 minutes. Even if the 10 minutes are like, I just want to read this article I have had up all day and I haven't gotten a chance to finish it. Or I'm going to go have a snack and this can wait for 10 minutes while I go to my kitchen, eat my snacks, and you will still be here when I get back. You know, I think that is definitely the things that I have learned during all of this.
That's some great advice indeed. I'm gonna do that very thing. I'm gonna start telling my boss just I need 10 minutes and see if that works for me as well. So
I mean, 10 minutes, it's not that long, you know, it's like enough time to be like, let me just, you have to walk and then get whatever you're getting and then make your way back. Like, I think that's reasonable, frankly, but you know.
indeed. All right. So Zoe, this is probably the most important question I have for you. How and where can we find you and keep up with your activity and all the great things that you've got going on right now?
So you can look at my YouTube channel. That's probably where I post the most. It's just Zoe Settle on YouTube. You can see my Get Settled series. I think I have like 20 videos on there now, maybe. About yeah, I was gonna say I've done it every week since March. So yeah, it's definitely quite a few there. That's all my singing videos. You can watch some of my crafts on there. My friend Elsa also has told many a story there. You can check that out. You can also look at my Instagram, zoe.settle. So I also share my videos on there and just kind of updates about my life and what's going on. So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Zoe, it has been an absolute pleasure to have lunch with you. I'm so grateful that you took the time to join us. It's nice to know that you're doing well, and your positivity and the things that you've got going on are just so uplifting. And hope is so important these days. And on another Monday, I think that you have given me enough to get me through the week. So I'm very grateful to you for that. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom for anybody out there?
I would just say, like, I know it's tough, but keep creating, even if you feel like you are just shouting in the void. I've been there, and the important thing is to just keep putting your art out there for the world to see, and eventually you're going to reach someone, someone's going to hear you.
Awesome. Great words of wisdom indeed. And again, just thank you so much for joining us. All right, folks. That does it for another edition of our Boxed Lunch program. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We've got some great content over on YouTube as well. And with that being said, have a great week, everybody. Please be kind to yourself. Be kind to those people around you. Zoe, I hope you have a wonderful week and a great day to boot. Thank you so much for joining me. And bon appetit, everybody. Off we go on another fun-filled week. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again on Friday. Bye-bye. Good.